Hi everyone, my name is Nagavaripu Soumya. I am working as an assistant professor in Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering at St. Martin's Engineering College. Welcome to today's video lecture on HDN and IoT protocols. So before moving into HDN and what is HDN, what is exactly HDN architecture and how IoT gets involved with HDN and what are the different protocols, let us see what exactly IoT is. So we know that IoT means Internet of Things, and here things are nothing but the devices or electronic appliances or the vehicles which gets connected to form a network. And so here we can see what exactly IoT means and what are the components of IoT. So let us now see what exactly IoT tells. So we know that IoT stands for Internet of Things, and here the things are nothing but the electronic devices, and we can say sensors or actuators, or we can say we use different controllers. So these are the components which form a network, and when these things form a network, we require internet connectivity. So internet connectivity might be your Wi-Fi, might be your Bluetooth, and might be your local area network. So when we talk about Wi-Fi, so Wi-Fi is used for long range of communication and Bluetooth is used for shortest range of communication. So now the term IoT has been developed by a scientist called Kevin Ashton. So he has said that there are different things called sensors, controllers, and we have electronic devices and connected vehicles. When they connect with each other and when they form an entire network, during that time we need to embed them on software. We need to embed them on platform where we have internet connectivity so that they can communicate, that is where we have data communication and data exchange. So these devices need to communicate with each other and they need to exchange the data between themselves so that we will get the desired output. So that is what IoT means. Next, coming to the components of IoT. So here we can see there are different components of IoT where we can see that there are different components of IoT. So first is sensors. So sensors are the one which will capture the data from your physical environment. So sensors are the one which will capture the data from physical environment. And there are different types of sensors called temperature sensor, humidity sensor, soil moisture sensor, and we have ultrasonic sensor. So these are the sensors which we use for different purposes. And next, this is the first component of your IoT. Next, coming to the second component, we have controllers. So controllers are nothing but which will control various actions. performed in IoT. Next, we have IoT cloud. So, when we talk about capturing the data and when we talk about controlling various multiple things, we need to save and store the data in cloud environment because IoT deals with a large amount of data. So, we need to store the data in cloud. Coming to the fourth component, that is nothing but IoT data analytics and data management. So whenever we are capturing the data from sensors, we need to analyze the data whether that data is suitable for our applications or not. So based upon that, we need to manage our data in different servers. And last component is user interface. So last component is user interface. So when we try to develop any type of IoT application with respect to smart agriculture or smart healthcare, we need to make sure that users are able to use them frequently and it should be user friendly. So next, coming to the process we follow in IoT. So what is the process we follow in IoT? So here, when we deal with any type of application, we first talk about what are the requirements of data, right? So here we can see first is the requirement of IoT tells about device connection and connectivity. So what type of device we use for our application? If it is smart agriculture, then what are the devices or sensors we require? Like we can take humidity sensor to check the humidity levels in your agricultural lands. We can take soil moisture sensor to find out the quality of soil. We can take water level sensor to find the water level present in the tank when we pass the water through your irrigation fields. So first step we need to know is device connection. So device connection includes what are the IoT devices and controllers we are using. So which is nothing but the main components of IoT is the sensors, actuators and controllers. So sensors, as we have discussed, it will capture the data, and actuators are the one which will convert your energy into motion, because in agricultural lands we need water pumps. So there we use actuators. And next is IoT connectivity. So if we are communicating for long distance, we require wireless networks, and if we are communicating for short range communication, we need personal area networks like Bluetooth or Bluetooth low energy. So coming to the second step, so once we have identified what are the devices we require for our application, we need to go for your sensing and collecting the data. So as we have discussed, for healthcare we can take an example. So we need wearables like our fitness trackers, or we need portable pacemakers, or we need myobands for gesture detection. So there are a different variety of sensors which we can take as per our requirement. So when sensors captures the data, we need to collect the data, and next we need to go for third step includes data transport and access. So once the data is collected, we need to transport it to the other systems so that they will try to connect with different area networks, and from there we can access the data. After that, we need to go for data analytics. So once the data is ready, we need to analyze the data, whether we need to use it with any technology like embedded systems or edge computing or artificial intelligence based upon the volume of the data. Fifth step includes data value. So which means we need to start implementing the IoT application with respect to the user's requirement. And finally, we talk about human value, because ultimately our goal is to find out the user experience and how they are well acquainted with our applications, whether it is mobile application, whether it is your web application. So next we talk about the topic called IoT architecture. So till now we have discussed about here what is IoT and what are the different components present in IoT and how your IoT plays a major role in various applications. So now coming to your architecture. So IoT architecture mainly consists of 4 layers. So first one is your physical layer. Next we talk about your network layer. And next is your data processing layer. And last one is our application layer. So this IoT architecture is called 4 stages in your IoT architecture. So now coming to physical layer. In physical layer, we talk about sensors, controllers. So how the sensors will sense the data and capture the data, and how controllers will perform various actions based upon the captured data that is present in our physical layer. Coming to network layer, it talks about your IoT connectivity. So whether you require large communication network or short range communication network. So which means it will tell about like whether you require Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or you require Zigbee. So what are the different protocols you require for connecting your devices among themselves and how they will go for data communication and data exchange is defined in network layer. So next is about data processing layer. So once we talk about your connectivity, your IoT application and whatever servers we use, they need to start processing the data, because our last goal is that users need to use the application without any hindrances. So application layer is about user interface and user experience. So these are the 4 stages present in our IoT. So next we will talk about the main architecture where IoT plays a major role is, here we can see the IoT solution. So what exactly happens in your IoT solution? So now we can see here, these are the different devices which we are using, like solar panels, like soil moisture sensor or your water level sensor or Wi-Fi. So these are the different devices which will try to exchange the data. Then how they will try to exchange the data and how they will communicate. For that reason, we require Wi-Fi connectivity, which we call as gateway. So gateway is the medium through which your devices will try to communicate with other devices, and it will try to establish a communication between devices and area network. So that is why we use a concept called gateway. Next, once the gateway tries to communicate, then it will go to IoT cloud platform, where we can see that whatever devices have captured the information will be stored in cloud platform. And here the cloud platform is again divided into 3 types based upon the services we use. That is nothing but software as a service, which we call as SaaS, software as a service. Next we have infrastructure as a service, and next we have software as a service, platform as a service, and next we have PaaS, that is nothing but platform as a service. So when we talk about cloud or cloud computing, so these are the 3 services which is provided by our cloud platform in any type of applications. So now when we talk about software as a service, so what type of software you are using for your IoT application, whether you are using any like web applications or cloud applications, what type of software you are using, like whether you are using Python or whether you are using C or C++. So that software we will see. Next, platform is nothing but what type of domain you are using. So whether we are creating any Android apps or whether we are trying to integrate our IoT with any mobile applications, and how you are storing the data, we'll talk about platform as a service. And last one is infrastructure as a service. So infrastructure as a service, we'll talk about all the types of components we are using, and it will talk about the network which we are using, and also it will talk about the size of the data. So infrastructure will deal with the end-to-end data which we will go for designing any type of IoT application. So infrastructure is nothing but which talks about both software and hardware. So what are the software and hardware services we use for infrastructure as a service in IoT? SDN is nothing but software defined networking. So why we go for software defined networking architecture? So there are multiple architectures available like software defined networking, network function virtualization. We have simplified IoT architectures. As we have seen now, simplified IoT architecture generally consists of 4 layers: physical layer, network layer, data processing layer, and application layer. But now when we talk about SDN, along with that we have conventional or traditional networking. So what is the difference between our SDN and traditional networking? Now we will see. So we know that there are some drawbacks in conventional networking, due to which we are going for software defined networking. So when we talk about conventional networking architecture, so in conventional networking architecture, we come across 2 planes. One is control plane and another is data plane. So what happens in conventional networking architecture is control plane and data plane are present in the same plane, or we can say they are mounted on each other, or they are coupled with each other. So when control plane and data plane are coupled with each other, so what is the problem we see there is, so when if data plane is not working properly, then control plane will get affected, and control plane is not working properly means data plane will get affected. So due to that, we are going for SDN architecture where control plane and data plane are separated. So now we need to know what exactly data plane is and what exactly control plane is. So data plane is nothing but it is used for forwarding the data packets from one end to another end. Because when we deal with any type of IoT application, so first thing is we need to check the volume of data. So what is the volume of data? Whether our application will be able to handle that large amount of data or not, whether we face any type of performance issues or load balancer issues. So that is why we need to see, first thing is the quantity of data which we are using. So now when we talk about conventional architectures or traditional architectures, there we use control plane and data plane are coupled with each other. So as a result, when we try to forward the data packets, so sometimes control plane will also try to control various actions like routing and networking, so which in turn will lead to ambiguity. And next thing is the switching networks also are present in the same plane. So we can see now, so we have discussed 3 major elements: control plane, data plane and switching networks. All these 3 are present in the same plane. So which means when any one switching network will not work properly, then the other switching network will get affected. So that is why we go for software defined networking architecture. So now we will see the difference between software defined networking architecture and your conventional architecture. So as we have discussed just now, so we can see the architecture of software defined networking and the conventional architecture. So now when we talk about conventional architecture. So we can see the architecture, conventional architecture. So we can see all the switching packets. First we talked about data plane, next is control plane, and next is switching networks, and next is forwarding packets, and next we talk about networking. So all these are present in the same plane. We can see here in one block only we are observing data plane, control plane, switching networks, forwarding packets, and networking. So like this we are having the conventional architecture where all these elements are present in the same plane. So what exactly your conventional architecture tells? If here any one of the switching network is not working properly, then the subsequent switching network will also not work. So as a result, the entire architecture will not be able to perform any type of tasks or functionalities. So that is the major drawback of our conventional architecture. And second thing is, first thing is failure of a switching network, and second thing is it won't be able to handle large amount of data. So large amount of data handling is not possible in conventional architectures, is not possible. And next is, so when it is not able to handle large amount of data, so at that time it won't be able to perform well. So we will observe performance issues and load balancer issues. So what exactly this performance issue and load balancer issue is? So when large amount of data is present in your servers, whether it is a front end UI or back end servers, so our application won't be able to handle large amount of data sometimes. So at that time what we need to do is we need to balance our data in multiple servers so that in one server all the data will not be present and that server will be able to free from its activities. So we can see here, if in one server, let us say this is our server, and in this server we are trying to store large amount of data, some 1 lakh records. So when any user is trying to log into this application, so it will hit this server and user won't be able to see the UI because your architecture is not able to handle large amount of data due to the different situations like system failure or due to system hang. So when user is trying to hit your server, so user is unable to see the UI, that is application. So at that time it will be an issue. So that is why we need to balance our data in multiple servers. Balancing of data in servers need to be done so that this server will be able to communicate with another server and data exchange will happen and user will be able to log into the application successfully. So that is not possible in conventional architecture. So it is possible in our SDN architecture. So now we can see what are the differences between your SDN and our conventional architecture. So we can see here what is the difference between your conventional architecture and SDN. SDN and conventional architecture. So here we can see in SDN we are having control plane and data plane are separated, which means they are decoupled. Control plane and data plane are separated. Whereas in conventional architecture, control plane and data plane are present in same network, or we can say same plane. Control plane and data plane are coupled. And here in conventional architecture, we have limited management overhead. Limited management overhead. Whereas in SDN, we can manage any amount of data. And here SDN will be able to overcome performance and load balancer issues. Performance and load balancer issues. But here that is not possible. Performance will be low. So these are some of the differences. And coming to accuracy, so SDN will provide better accuracy compared to conventional architecture. So now these are some of the differences between conventional and SDN architecture. So as we see different limitations in conventional architectures, we go for SDN architectures, and SDN architecture will provide better accuracy, performance, and we can implement different types of applications. So now coming to the different types of protocols present in our IoT. So what do you mean by IoT protocols? So what do you mean by IoT protocols? So we know that protocols are nothing but a set of rules and regulations which are used to perform any type of task. So now coming to the different protocols in IoT. So we can see IoT protocols are broadly classified into two types. One is IoT data protocols and another is IoT network protocols. So now coming to data protocols, we can see, so data means messages or the data communication or data exchange need to happen from sender to receiver. So that is why here under IoT data protocols, we are having different protocols like MQTT, Message Queuing Telemetry Transport Protocol. Next is Advanced Message Queuing Protocol. Next we have XMPP, Extensible Messaging and Presence Protocol. Like that we have WebSockets, HTTP Hypertext Transfer Protocols. Similarly, under IoT network protocols, we have Bluetooth and Bluetooth Low Energy, cellular networks called 4G and 5G. Next we have Wi-Fi, and we have 6LoWPAN and 6 TiSCH, which are used for our networking and which are used for networking, connectivity and messaging. So we can see here, these are the different types of data protocols. First is MQTT, Message Queuing Telemetry Protocol. So this is called as a lightweight protocol, and it follows publisher subscribe model. So which means publish subscribe model is where we have three main users like publisher, broker and your subscriber. So publisher is the one, they will publish the data, and broker is the one, they will try to communicate with publisher and subscriber will be able to give you the output. Next, coming to the advanced message queuing protocol. So this is the protocol which is used in software layer, which offers message oriented settings, and but compared to MQTT, AMQP needs more amount of resources, but IoT needs to deal with low power resources, which should be the advantage of IoT. So next, coming to your constrained application protocol. So this is the protocol which is used for using, so this is used for so constrained application protocol is nothing but it is the extended version of your HTTP protocol. So where we can see, so constrained application protocol is the extended version of HTTP where it uses get, post, delete commands to perform any task. Next is XMPP, message protocol and presence. So this is the protocol which deals with no cost and it uses extensible markup language to send and receive messages from sender to receiver. So next we can see hypertext transfer protocol, which is the main protocol used in both front end and back end to develop any communication, and it requires we use here www.websites when we want to go for designing any web page or when we want to hit any type of server using Google. So there we use HTTP protocol. So these are the different protocols which we come across in IoT data protocol. So next is networking protocols, so which is about Bluetooth. So Bluetooth is the personal area network where it covers a range of 10 meter to 100 meter and the data rate goes up to 1 Mbps. Next, Zigbee is a IEEE 802.15.4 standard. This is the frequency range same as Bluetooth, but it can hold up to data rate of 250 kbps. 6LoWPAN is nothing but it is also one of the personal area network which we use for network connectivity between IoT devices, and 6LoWPAN is low power personal area network and the frequency ranges from 900 to 2400 megahertz frequency, which supports two types of topologies, that is star and mesh topology. So these are the different network protocols which we can see. Wi-Fi is also one of the network protocol which we use in our day-to-day basis for connecting and sharing the data between one device to another device. And cellular networks are the mobile data which we use 4G, 5G networks in remote areas and in urban areas. So these are the different IoT protocols which we use for data transmission and communication between front end and back end. So next, in our thank you. In our next session, we will discuss about what are the different protocols which we use in real-time applications. So thank you for attending the video lecture.